hit record. Okay, now that we're recording, welcome everybody to our associate workout for April of 2022. My name is Mike Fiffik. I am the owner of Fiffik Law Group here. We are the proud Pennsylvania LegalShield provider law firm here. And I will introduce my administrator for our LegalShield division, Noemi Reyes. She's on. Say hi, Noemi.
Hi, everyone.
So everything that you're going to hear in this webinar from me has probably been given to me by Noemi. I don't know virtually anything at all. And so I'm good, but I'll take complete credit for everything that's in here, as long as you like it. If you don't like it, it's Noemi's fault. So we've actually collaborated on this, along with Belinda Lasan, who is our supervising attorney, but she is unable to be with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let's see if this works. Let's see here. Okay, so Noemi, tell me if you can see my my slideshow here. Is that what's coming up?
Yes, but you want to do it to, it's not in the view. It's not in the.
Yeah, I'm going to figure that out here in just a second. So.
Be able to hit your escape button and it should take it.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about the 10 biggest things that get in the way of providing fast service to members.
You're echoing pretty bad.
Let's see, I'm going to mute everybody. Okay, I think that should take care of it. All right. So 10 biggest things get in the way of providing fast service to members. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And we definitely don't want to have any hangups whenever we talk to members along the way. So here are some things that happen on our end. You know, you would never really know about this because these are all point of service related things that happen that are cause hiccups, right? You know, when somebody has a legal need, they would call us and we call, you know, they want to get the assistance that they need right away. We don't want to have any delays in getting back to them. Whenever somebody does initiate a request for service, I would tell you that on average, they're getting a call back from an attorney in our office in less than 2 hours in most instances, and sometimes even sooner. But that callback responsiveness can be impacted negatively if certain things happen. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is what gets in the way of providing timely assistance to LegalShield members. And the number one is allowing your membership to lapse or to go into pre-cancel. So whenever somebody does initiate a request for service, whether they call us or they do that via the LegalShield app, or they do it on the computer via the web, that web interface, they open up a request for service. You know, if their membership, there's a period of time between the time that their membership goes into we call it pre-cancel, right? You probably know that. And then the time that it's actually canceled. There's some period of time. Well, for your benefit and for ours, we check everybody's membership status before we will provide services to them. And if their membership is in pre-cancel, what we're going to do is ask the member to get with member services to make sure that their membership is, you know, up to date. That's one way that we try to support LegalShield sales associates, so that your memberships, the memberships that you've written, you've worked hard, don't cancel. And a lot of times folks don't realize that their membership is having some type of an issue, and they're very happy to get with member services to take care of whatever the issue is. Usually it's some kind of a payment snafu of some kind. Noemi, you're a little bit closer to this. What do you find? What do you see is happening here with this?
A lot of times, if the membership has been canceled, members don't realize their credit card has expired. That's the biggest issue we run into, is a member's credit card has expired. So we have to sort of get that worked out with member services so we can provide them with service.
Yeah, so it's usually some type of a payment issue, whatever it is. But that can get in the way. It delays them. We will warm transfer them to member services, right? So when we're on the phone with them, if we see that their membership status is pre-cancel or having some type of an issue, we actually will transfer them while we're on the phone with them right over to member services, so they get that taken care of right away. And I think Jersine is, I just had to mute her out. I think that was causing the echo. So number two reason what gets in the way of providing services, that the plan that the member has doesn't match their request for service or doesn't match their need. And I have a couple of very common things that happen where somebody calls us with a business matter, but all they have is a family plan, right? And the family plan, of course, does not cover, and I use the family plan generally to refer to all of the non-business plans that LegalShield sells. And it doesn't provide business matters, right? So that's really an upsell opportunity for all of us. And again, we will transfer them over to member services to offer them an opportunity to buy a business plan that is appropriate for them. Sometimes we have somebody calling in on a business membership that is personal matter, and they don't have a personal plan. And that's the same problem, right? Same type of an issue. We want them to be able to get a personal plan to cover their family in addition to their business. And so we'll transfer them over. We can't sell that stuff ourselves. If we knew who the selling associate was, we would be happy to transfer them to you, but we don't. We don't have that information available to us. So the best thing that we can do, or really the only thing that we can do, is to transfer them to member services so that they can get an appropriate business plan, and then we will be more than happy to help them out just as soon as they get that squared away. We also see people calling with business matters for businesses that have no membership. So they might have one of the small business plans, the Pro or the Plus, and it covers only one business. That's all it's really supposed to cover. And they're calling in about a different business that they have, and there's no membership associated with that business. So we want them to get covered and have a plan to cover that business too. Are there any other ways this happens that you're familiar with, Noemi?
No, those would be the major ones: business plans, personal plans.
Yeah, I think the most common is a member with a family plan who has a business related matter, and that's just not covered on their plan. So I hope you all get credit for that. I don't know whether you do. I hope you do. We're trying to help you upsell. What was that number? That was number 2. What happened to my number 3? All right. Well, I might have it out of order here. So I'll find number 3 somewhere. Number 4, members that make it difficult to communicate with them, right? That can be a real problem for us. Members will initiate a request for service, and then whenever we try to call them back, they don't answer the phone. Or we have set a phone appointment with them, and then they miss the phone appointment whenever the attorney calls them at the appointed time. Or we try to reach them and they don't pick up, and their voicemail is not set up. I'm sure that that's probably happened to you along the way. It's very frustrating when somebody doesn't have their voicemail set up so that you can let them know that you're trying to call. If they do have voicemail, sometimes folks don't check their voicemail, even though we've left them a voice message that we have called them. Not all provider firms are using text messaging. A lot of them are. So they might get a text message through the app. They might get a text message just generally. We send text messages at all stages of our attempts to communicate with members. So if we have tried to reach a member and we can't get a hold of them, if they have voicemail, we'll leave them a voicemail. They'll also receive a text message and probably an email message too, that we have tried to get a hold of them. And then those messages will give them a variety of ways of getting back in touch with us, or even scheduling a phone appointment. We'll tell them if we're having a difficult time reaching you, you can ask for a phone appointment. We would be very happy to do that. But we're trying to avoid phone tag as much as we possibly can. Our attorneys are now starting to send a text message to the member 5 or 10 minutes before we're calling them, to sort of let them know, hey, we're going to be calling you. So just heads up, in the event that you've got something going on, you're going to want to answer the phone whenever we give you a call, because the phone number and the information that we send out of our phone system isn't necessarily what comes through on the caller ID that the member sees. The information that comes through on the caller ID to the member, it really depends on what their phone system wants to send to them, and what our computer system sends out, which is going to tell them who we are and why we're calling, doesn't always pick up on their phone ID. So sometimes folks might not pick up if it's an unknown number or a number that they're not familiar with. So we're going to try to start sending them a text message in advance to say, hey, the lawyer is going to be calling you. Please take the call whenever it does come through. But members who make it difficult to get a hold of them can be very, very, very frustrating, and it does get in the way of providing assistance to them. So number 5 reason that can get in the way of providing customer service is when the member doesn't cooperate with our customer service staff. Folks will call in, and our customer service representatives want to gather some information. As you might imagine, if you've all used the service, you know exactly how this works. They need to get some information. They want to make sure that we have the most updated information about you, so that we know how to get a hold of you, and then what your legal situation is all about. Some folks are reticent to answer those questions, or maybe they are hurried or whatever, but it's very difficult for us to get everything that we need whenever the member won't answer questions. Or sometimes they're argumentative, or they use coarse language with our customer service reps for whatever reason, or might be disrespectful. I would have to say one of my personal pet peeves is whenever I call somebody and they ask me to wait while they're talking to somebody else on the phone, and sometimes they forget that they've asked me to wait. And so I'm sitting there listening to this long conversation that they're having with somebody else while I'm just sitting there waiting for them to take another call. And when they do that with our customer service representatives, what that's doing is it's just taking their time away from answering other calls from other LegalShield members. So that can be very difficult to do. Noemi, what other,
Yes.
how else does this happen?
I was gonna say, our customer service reps are trained. In Pennsylvania, we cannot have a third party on the line with the member. So we do get calls where the associate is on the line with the member and wants to sort of facilitate the relationship with the attorney and the member. But unfortunately, we cannot do that. We cannot have a third party on the line to speak with our representatives or our attorneys. That's attorney-client privilege. The folks are not trying to be difficult with you guys. If you have a question or concern about your member, please reach out to me and I'll take the time to check out the intake and speak to you about it. But don't get upset with them. They're just following the script from Mike and I saying we can't have third parties on the call. That's a big one.
Yeah, and we always need to know who the opposing party is. If the legal matter involves a dispute with another person or another business, we need to know the identity of that person. That's a big deal in the legal world, because we want to do what we refer to as a conflict check. And so we want to know who that other person is, because we're going to check to see a couple of different things. One, is that person a LegalShield member, right? That we're and a client of ours. If they are, then we're going to have to address the situation appropriately. Or if they're a private client of ours or somebody that we've done business work with or worked for in the past, that's going to be a potential conflict of interest. The member that is calling us that has a dispute with that person is always going to receive their benefits, right? We're not going to refuse to provide benefits to them. It's just that there's a different way that we will provide benefits to them. And usually what that means is that we'll have to send them to another law firm who will be able to answer their questions and provide all of the benefits that they're entitled to, right? But if we've provided services to the other person that they have a dispute with already, then it's a conflict of interest, and we're prohibited under the rules of our rules of professional conduct that are in every state. Every law firm is subject to these things. they weren't going to be able to provide the services to the member, but somebody else will. So everybody's going to get all of the benefits that they're entitled to. It's just that we have a little bit of a different way of taking care of those. And some folks just don't understand that, or they don't want to tell us who the other opposing party is. Sometimes they're secretive for whatever reason, don't know why, very private, I don't know, or they don't want to tell us the name of the person, you know, telling us their sister or something is not good enough. We really need to know exactly who that person is so that we can check to see if they're a client. All right, so number 6, incomplete web or phone requests. And this is really common. So now that LegalShield members have the ability to initiate requests for services using the app on their phone or their web app right online, that they're able to do this, they fill these things out, and not everything is necessarily required to be filled out. And so we find that about 50% of our requests that are sent to us from LegalShield members via the phone app or the web app are missing some important information that we need. And sometimes that's going to cause a delay in our attorneys being able to call them back. And the number one thing that is left out of these requests are opposing party. The opposing party is not identified. So this sort of very similar to what I was just talking to you about. They won't put the person's name in there, right? Or they'll just say my husband or my sister or my brother, right? Which, yeah, I understand that why they might say that, but we need to actually know the name, right? Or maybe they just put Steve, you know, or Mr. Jones or something like that, right? We have to have the full name. And we're telling you this so that you can tell your members, you know, if you want to have the best customer experience, make sure that you completely fill those types of things out, provide full and complete information to the best of your ability, because that allows us to do what we need to do in order to provide them service as quickly as possible. Fortunately, maybe unfortunately, but fortunately, at least for us, of all of the requests for services that we receive, still the vast majority of them come via the phone, through the customer service reps, the old-fashioned way. We think that that's the best way. We'll just tell you, we think that's the best way. We find that the customer experience is the best whenever people do it that way. But it's great to have the phone app. It's great to have the web app so that people can do this on their time at 10 o'clock at night after they've made lunches for the kids and they're ready to sort of wind down their day and they have a few minutes to do this. You know, that's great. We're very happy to be available so that folks can open intakes, initiate requests for services at all hours of the day. But we really do need them to fully and completely fill those questions out. You know, not everybody is good at spelling, although we all have spell check. I think that the web app and the phone app have some kind of spell check of some kind. But if they're really sort of brutally misspelled words, sometimes that can be a little difficult for us to see. And then sometimes folks don't really tell us much about what their legal matter is. And, you know, that's okay. We're going to call them. But the more information that they provide to us about their legal matter, we have a chance to match them with a lawyer who is going to have the best chance of being able to help them, because that's an area that they have a specialty in or that they have an emphasis in. So if they don't really tell us what type of a case it is, then it's going to be kind of pot luck when we could have gotten them to a family attorney or an estate planning attorney or somebody that does landlord-tenant work or something like that, or a business-related matter. So the more information that we get, it gives us a better ability to match them up with somebody who's going to be able to take care of them while they're on the phone with them the first time, rather than saying, you know, I'm not quite sure how to answer that question. Let me take a look into it and I'll give you a call back. Okay, number 7 reasons of the reasons that prevent us from providing great service to members is folks that have unreasonable expectations. And I think that this is sort of a shared problem that we all have, provider firms and LegalShield sales associates, right? The better that we can prepare members and help them understand what to expect in the way of their benefits, what it covers, what it doesn't cover, and what to expect whenever they're calling their provider law firm, then we have a much better chance of having a happier customer experience along the way, right? And I know that you all work hard to help your members understand, whenever you have the chance to do so, that there are certain things that providers can't do for them, or even if the provider firms can do things, that they can't do them maybe as quickly as the members might want them to do, right? So there are some things that we can't do. I'll give you a case. This just came up. A fellow called, he had a membership. He has been in the United States. He's overstayed his visa, and he's been in the United States for over 20 years, illegally. And he bought the membership, called in, and he wanted us to solve that immigration problem for him at no additional charge. That's an example of an unreasonable expectation. It's just not going to happen. And I think you all totally understand that that's just not something that we're going to be able to do for somebody for no additional charge.
When you join,
let's see here. I think I have somebody
for those of you who are in MIA
who is unmuted. I'm just trying to figure out who it is so I can mute them out.
Download the assessment.
I am not sure who that is. Okay, so that's the problem. That's one of the problems that we have. What can we do? When can we do it? And what's going to cost extra money? We think associates who sell memberships are the ones who are the best at preparing members to have reasonable expectations. And it's folks that don't work with an associate who I think tend at a higher percentage to have unreasonable expectations. But whenever you're selling the membership to somebody, I think it's just it's time well spent to help prepare them for what they should expect. So number 8 problem that gets in the way of providing great service, Naomi has already alluded to this, is having someone call for you. This is not unusual. Sometimes folks will have a family member call for them. And that's especially true whenever we're working with a member who is, elderly and might have a diminished capacity to be able to talk with us on the phone. Sometimes it's a child who might be trying to effectuate some changes for mom and dad. And they say that mom and dad aren't able to get on the phone when they really are. So we have to be very careful about that, because our obligation is to the member, not to their adult children who are calling on their behalf. We always want to talk to the members. And so just so that you know, if somebody is calling in on behalf of a member, we're always going to say, we want to talk to the member. So we'll say, have mom or dad call us back, or we'll be more than happy to set a phone appointment for mom or dad or whoever it is, or the member. That's going to be we're always going to ask to do that. That's the first order of business. I don't think that there's ever going to be an occasion where we are not going to first try to talk to the member themselves. Maybe daughter calls in and says, my mom is in the hospital because she's had a terrible accident. That's a different situation. But we're always going to ask to talk to the member whenever
Mike,
there's somebody else calling in.
Just,
please do.
Sorry. The only way we would talk to a third party, such as a family member, someone like that, is if the member has a POA that is fully executed, signed, notarized. You would provide that to us, and then we can proceed to speak with the agent who has been nominated by the member. So we can have those consultations. That is the only way we're able to do it in Pennsylvania.
Right. So POA means a durable general power of attorney that the member has filled out and signed and said that, I nominate whoever that person is that's calling us on their behalf as my attorney in fact, my agent, my power of attorney. And then we will ask that whoever is calling us to provide us with a copy of that power of attorney, complete copy, that we can take a look at to make sure that it's valid. before we able to talk with them, because our conversations with members are covered by the attorney-client privilege, and we want to make sure that all of that information is as confidential, as possible. And that's our first order of business. And we totally understand that a lot of these situations come with the best of intentions, right? Where there's somebody who's just trying to help and facilitate, and we appreciate that kind of stuff. But just so that on our end, if some type of an issue comes about or a complaint comes to your attention about this, you have a better understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. So, and we do see that family members will call, sales associates might call on behalf of a member. Sometimes, and I didn't really put this in as a something that causes a problem, but I could have. It's when the member doesn't speak English, right? And that the language barrier can be a problem. And so sometimes the sales associate is trying to call in to facilitate that situation. It's very difficult for us to provide legal services through an untrained interpreter. We have no way of knowing, what is being relayed to that customer. I would just say that unless the member can speak English or Spanish, because there's a Spanish plan, that the membership is probably not appropriate for them. I'll just tell you that. That's just going to be a problem. Sometimes we have a friend calling. I put mommy in there just as a joke, but anyway. So that's another issue that we have. Okay, number 9 of problems with documents and photos.
Mike, if I could just go back on one other thing.
You sure can.
From the previous slide. Children, if they're over 18, we need to speak with the child. We cannot speak with a parent.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important to know that. We do get members that get upset with us because we cannot talk to mom or dad. We need to speak with that member who's over 18.
Yeah, my college age son got a speeding ticket or a citation at college of some kind. I want you to take care of it. We need to speak to college age son about whatever that matter is. I know that it seems like an inconvenience, and it is, or a pain in the rear end, but those are the rules that we have to abide by under the rules of professional conduct. We have to actually talk to the client. So you wouldn't ever have a situation where you would go to the doctor for your son and say, my son has been complaining about these problems. Can you please diagnose that or prescribe medication and just give me the script and I'll take it to the drugstore and I'll give it to my son. You would never, ever think about doing something like that. In fact, you might think less of the doctor if the doctor were to do that kind of a thing without ever seeing your son or talking to your son, right? And so it's this kind of the same thing for us, right? So number 9, problems with documents and photos. I just throw those all into one old bag there, right? Now I got totally mixed up. So I think I've cross-pollinated my number 3 and my number 9 here. So I'm going to talk about both of these, but they refer to different things. Okay, the problems with documents and photos, ignore the bullet points because it has nothing to do with documents. We have problems with documents sometimes when people send us things, and the typical thing is they don't send us the entire document, right? I just want you to look at paragraph 12, right? That's a real problem for us because you might think that only paragraph 12 is applicable, but oftentimes there are other portions of the document that speak to whatever the issue is, and we need to see the whole thing so that we can understand it in its entirety. So sometimes that's a workaround that folks want to use if they have a document that is longer than the 15 pages that are covered under their family plan, or whatever the applicable business plan is. There are more pages there. So we need to see the entire document. Sometimes folks, again, best of intentions, they thought that they sent us the entire document, but we got pages 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 because it's a double-sided document and they only sent us the one side. Or we have a bad photocopy here, as you can see from the image. There are lots of different problems with documents whenever we get them. And if we don't have the entire document, what we will do is we will immediately reach out to the member to say, there's a problem with the document. Here's what the problem is. Can you please resend it or send the complete document or whatever it is? Just so that you know, we don't just put them in limbo or whatever. We actually do reach out to them. And I'm sure that all provider firms do exactly the same thing. They're going to reach out and say, hey, we have a problem with these documents, right? What are other types of photo or
for you.
document problems? Yeah, fire away.
So we cannot accept emails that members send us that want us to go onto a secured link
Yeah.
and create passwords. That happens very often. We cannot do that. Also, downloading zip files, that becomes very problematic for us when we try to do that. So sending a zip file, sending us a secured email, having to go download information, that makes it very hard. Also, if you send us an email and our firewall from our emailing system picks up some sort of virus, we will not receive the attachment. That actually just happened today. So there was some sort of virus in the email we received from the member. We had to let them know, even though you said you attached it, I can see the attachment. Our system won't allow us to open it because there's some sort of virus on your email end. And we will definitely reach out to the member, give them a call or send them a text to give us a call if we can't get a hold of them immediately when we receive those kinds of issues.
Yeah. Any attempt to send us documents that involves clickable links in the email, we're not going to be able to do that, only because we don't know what we're clicking ourselves into. Those could attach viruses or different types of malware into our system. You all should be very careful about clicking on links in emails that you get, right? I wouldn't suggest that you do that unless you know the person who is sending it. And even then you have to be very reticent about that. So we have to be very, very careful about those types of things. And some members think that it's, just okay that they want to send us a link to a Dropbox account of some kind or whatever it is. And we just have to be very careful about that kind of a thing. And I know that it's an inconvenience for folks, but we would rather just them send those documents as PDF documents or images or something like that we're able to, we have more confidence that we're not going to get ourselves into malware. I do see some things in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and respond to the questions, at the end. So moving on to, well, I had skipped number 3 in my slide deck for those of you who joined us late, and I didn't know what happened to it. Well, here it is. Slide number 3, I remember what it was, which is the number one problem is when folks don't, have a membership that's pre-canceled or lapsed. The number 2 problem is whenever they have a membership that doesn't match their need. And the classic was having a family plan, but calling about a business related issue. The number 3 problem is calling too late or waiting too long to call, right? Where they call us at the last minute. And my bullet points in this screen are the ones that should have been in number 3. And these are the things that happen whenever somebody calls us and they've called us too late. Or unfortunately, they've bought the membership as sort of a 911 type of a thing where they bought it because they have an urgent need, which is never a good situation to sell a membership into. But so folks will call us with court dates that are coming up very quickly, or they have some type of filing deadline that's coming very quickly, or some type of a response that they have to get back to some third party in a very short period of time. These are all problems for us because, court dates, litigation matters are going to require 9 times out of 10, probably 9.8 times out of 10, a referral to an attorney. It might be one of our attorneys in-house, or it might be an attorney in our referral network, but it's going to necessitate a referral to the attorney. And there are a lot of things that have to happen in that referral process, right? We have to find somebody that has the skill set and is available to handle that type of a matter. We then have to connect the member and the referral lawyer. They have to talk about the matter, and they're going to have to work out whatever their fee arrangement is, and that's going to have to get paid. So all of those things have to happen, in advance of a court date, and that doesn't happen, same day typically, right? It's going to take a couple of days for that kind of a thing, for those two people to connect with one another and work out whatever their arrangement is. So whenever we have short, court dates or filing deadlines that are coming up too fast, those present real problems. And sometimes people just ignore problems. That's human nature. We get it. But they wait a little too long. And sometimes we have to tell them, we're not going to be able to help you with this. There just isn't enough time. Because if we tell members we're going to find you a referral lawyer to handle this matter, they think that it's going to be taken care of. We may not be able to find someone, right? And members, I don't think really appreciate that when we say we're going to try to find, what that really means is we may not be able to find. And that's an outcome that is possible here. And they have a little bit of a false sense of security that they've done what they need to do and that we're actually going to be able to find them somebody who can handle that legal matter. And we simply might not be able to find somebody that is going to be able to handle that matter for them. So
Mike, I would say one other issue that's very similar to this topic that you're talking about is the members have an expectation that our consulting attorneys are the ones that are going to be appearing with them in court. That just happened today. A member called and she was like, I have 2 hours to get to my hearing. Are you coming with me? So we have to be able to, the consulting attorneys are just what they are. They will consult. If you need a referral to have an attorney attend a hearing with you, we'll facilitate that. But you have to give us enough response, enough time. And, if there's a situation which comes up that somebody was just served and, the turnaround time is less than 10 days, we will do our best to try to help that person find a referral attorney. We can't guarantee anything, but our referral department will work very hard to try to help that member find a referral attorney, so we will help in those instances as well, but we try to have them not be a lot of times.
Yeah, we've got long-standing relationships with the lawyers in our referral network, and especially if it's in a densely populated area where we have lots of referral attorneys, it's not always difficult for us to find somebody who can talk to somebody with a short timeline like that. But if they're calling and they're in Potter County, it might be tough for us to do that. Potter County, for those of you that aren't from Pennsylvania, is a very rural county in the middle of the state where there might be like 3 lawyers there. So, that's going to be a taller order kind of a thing. And I will say that one of the real tough situations is when somebody is calling in and they have a case that they would like somebody to evaluate, to take, and the statute of limitations is we're coming up on that statute of limitation. That means that if they have to file their lawsuit on their claim, if they fail to do that, then they will have lost their right to pursue that claim. That's what a statute of limitations is. And if we get a little too close to the statute of limitations, we may just tell somebody we're not going to be able to help you find somebody, because again, it's that false sense of security thing. If we tell them that we're going to try to find them somebody, they think that we're going to find them somebody, and we might not. And that statute of limitations might pass where we haven't been able to connect them with somebody. So that's a situation where we might just say, I'm sorry, we can't help you with that. We want to, but we might not be able to. Okay, so the last, number 10, thing that gets in the way of us helping folks is whenever the member is not prepared for the consultation, right? So the lawyer calls and the member is just not ready for whatever reason. And so maybe they don't have all of the information, that's available to assist them. Here's a way that can happen. If they've got some type of a monetary dispute with another party and they don't know what the numbers are, right? They don't have the numbers handy, or they don't know what the numbers are. And so maybe that consultation necessitates that we're writing a letter on behalf of the member. We need the address for the opposing party, or the amount of money that's in dispute, those types of things. And if the member doesn't have those things, then it's going to delay our ability to provide services to the member. If the member doesn't allow enough time for the consultation. So sometimes folks are in the middle of something and it ends up kind of as a rushed consultation, right? Or they're doing something else. That can be a problem. where they're unprepared, they just don't have enough time for the consultation. If they don't have enough time, we always offer to schedule a phone appointment for them, but sometimes they want to rush through it anyway. Or members don't know what their really goals are. So they have some type of a claim, they would like us to write a letter on their behalf, and we need to know, well, how much do you want me to ask for, right? And they don't know what that is. They don't know what the outcome is that they want in the matter. They're having a problem with their apartment, and they would like some type of resolution. Well, what do you want us to ask the landlord to do for you? Or what do you want the contractor who isn't coming back to your property to finish the job to do? They're not quite sure. They haven't thought it through that far. And so we can certainly help them with that, but it's always helpful if they're ready. You know, they know kind of what they want to have done or some idea of what they want to have done. Those are some of the issues that I see whenever folks just aren't prepared for the consultation, and it ends up delaying things, you know, along the way. So those are the 10. Noemi, are there any that I missed? Any others that you can think of?
No, I think we got everything.
Okay. So let me take a look at some of the questions that are posted here, and I really appreciate the questions. And if you have any, just drop them into the chat, and I would be happy to answer those questions for you. Allison is asking, do you still honor LegalShield for the self-employed? Whatever the membership is, as long as it's not been canceled, we will service the membership. So whatever membership it is that they have, we will provide the services. I don't think that anybody has lost. I remember that plan. I don't think it has gone away. Even if you have, Elgin is asking, even if you have something in writing to speak on behalf of your parents, again, that has to be a power of attorney, right? It can't be just a note from mom that says it's okay to talk to Elgin about whatever my legal matter is. We actually do need to have the power of attorney. Allison saying, what about the language issue? Do you, again, they really need to be able to speak English or Spanish. There's a Spanish plan for that. But if they speak some, language that is unusual, that we don't have anybody here that's bilingual in that way. We do have some lawyers that are bilingual, but in Spanish, I believe it is. We won't be able to communicate with them. And so that can be a real problem whenever somebody's selling into a pocket, right, in a community that is ethnic. I totally understand wanting to connect those folks with legal services. It's a laudable thing, but it's going to end up being a real impediment to providing them with services.
Mike, just one quick thing. If the English speaking person has a power of attorney for the non-English speaking person, can that be facilitated? Can that happen?
Yes, it's not ideal, and it's not ideal, right? I wouldn't build your business on that, is what I would say. That's going to be a real difficult thing to do, especially because that person with the power of attorney for the non-English speaker is probably not going to want to be available all the time for to facilitate all of the consultations and the back and forth that it has to happen. But yeah, that can happen. That can happen. And the difficulty for us is whenever they're trying, if the power of attorney is used basically as an interpreter kind of a thing, we have no idea what that person is telling the member, right? Because we don't speak the language, so we don't know whether it's being conveyed properly. And whenever you have interpreters, typically they're trained legal interpreters so that they know how to translate legal terminology for the other member. And so there may be a shortfall in understanding if the person that's interpreting doesn't know how to translate the words, right? Because they're a little bit more technical. So that can, yeah. Thanks for the question. I appreciate that.
Mike, an additional wrinkle in the non-English speaking language with the small business plans, if they have somebody in their firm who speaks English and they identify them as qualified to speak to the law firm, that can work out for somebody that may not speak English and is the owner, but still get a small business plan. But I don't know of a way to work around it for the family plans.
Yeah, Rod, that's a great call out. Thank you for that. Because Yeah, with a small business plan, you can designate spokespersons and then we talk to them, right? It doesn't matter. As long as they're a designated spokesperson, we talk to them, and that's how the membership is delivered, is serviced. So that's a great call out. Louise asks, what would a POA also need to be a member? I'm not quite sure I answered that, Louise.
No,
Can
I
you
think
maybe
what she's
clarify?
asking, Mike, is does the POA need to be a member as well?
No.
They do not.
No.
They do not
No,
need
they
to be a member, just just the person that they're calling about.
Exactly right. Elgin asked, does the Fiffik law firm provide the power of attorney document? If we've talked to the member and they've asked us to prepare a power of attorney document, nominating somebody as their agent, we would be happy to do that. We do powers of attorney all the time. So Dana asks, are you ever informed of a referral attorney that did not take care of the client complaint? Yes, absolutely. That does happen. And we will, if you know of that happening, or if a member tells us that they've had an unhappy experience with one of our attorneys in our referral network, we want to know about that. And we will talk to our referral attorneys. I will tell you that, at least in Pennsylvania anyway, I regularly talk to our referral lawyers. I schedule specific time to have chats with them, to let them know this is how we provide services, and talk to them about a variety of different things. But these are one-on-one consultations that I have with them, where we talk about these service-related matters. And they're as a group, they're all pretty tuned in to provide excellent service to members. And we've been working with a lot of these folks for a lot of years, and we know the good eggs, and we kind of don't work with the bad eggs. We've terminated relationships with folks who don't take care of our members, because we know that they're very important. Anybody else have any questions? You can feel free to just unmute and fire away about these things, or anything else that you would like to talk about. Is there any insights that I can share with you all?
Mr. Fiffik?
Yes, Nikki.
Hi.
Hi.
My question is very simple. You always do great webinars, by the way. Your information is awesome.
Thank you.
Coming up, there's some webinars that the topic is something that I want to invite people to who are not associates. Is that allowable?
Yes, we encourage you. We do these webinars in part for you, right? These are opportunities for you to invite your current customers or your potential customers to those. And Noemi put a link to our Eventbrite page. That's where we post all of our events. You can subscribe to our Eventbrite page, and as I understand how that works, whenever we post a new event, you'll receive a little email or a notice, and you can share that link with anybody that you would like. You can post it on your social media.
Awesome. Yeah, your webinar coming up about digital assets. I want to invite a couple of people to that.
Oh, great.
And there's also a webinar coming up that I want to invite a couple of members who haven't completed their will. This might give them the kick in the pants they need.
Yeah. Please do that. Our will webinar, if any of you have not seen our will webinar, it comes from the standpoint of what happens in your family situation if you pass away without a will. So we really try to make it real. And we go through a series of life situations, and I guarantee you that it's either your situation or one that you are very familiar with because you've got a friend or a family member that has that situation. And it helps you understand, okay, what happens with all of the stuff that I've been working for all my entire life if I don't have my will in place? And we talk about that when it comes to your digital assets, as well. So if you attend our digital asset estate planning, you're going to hear a couple of stories. I'll share one with you very briefly. Matthew Mellon, right? One of a relation of the famous Mellon, right? He was a grandson or great grandson or something like that, but he invested in cryptocurrency and he did very well. I think he had and a cryptocurrency estate worth $500 million with a B, $500 million, right? He unfortunately died at 54, which is how old I am. And he, if you're at all familiar with cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or whatever, and if you don't know about it now, you will know about it, I guarantee you, because the number of cryptocurrency investors is doubling basically every year. But you have a passcode, right? That's it. And if you lose that, because it's an access to your, in essence, your digital wallet, your Bitcoin account. If you lose it, right, you're done. There's no 1-800 number that you can call, or there's no link that you can get to reset your code. It's just done. And so Matthew Mellon had stored his passcodes in what they referred to as cold wallets, meaning he wrote it down on a piece of paper and kept it in safe deposit boxes in a number of banks, but he didn't tell anybody what banks, right? So he died in 2018, and nobody has found his cryptocurrency passcodes. So guess how much his investments are worth, right? Zero, because if you can't access them, they ain't worth nothing. And so that's a lesson for the wary, right? In the digital world, that kind of thing can happen to any of your digital assets, whatever you consider them. Maybe your family photos are treasured for you, but if they're all on your phone and nobody knows how to get into them, guess what? Your family memories are all gone. That kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that. Those are just some teasers. Please join in.
Great story. I'm sorry, someone's raising their hand. My
Yes.
one last question
Sure.
before I give you the floor is, where is the recording of this to be found?
I've
After,
just put it on you. I just put our YouTube channel in the chat.
okay, yes. So it'll be on our YouTube channel. So we'll post this probably in the next day or two. It'll be up there. And there's some other associate workouts on there if you'd like to look at them. I know one of the more popular ones, we talked about the entire referral system, right? The whole referral process. That's a good one for everybody to tune into. I'd highly recommend that. So.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks. Allison, I think I saw you had a question.
Yeah, I do. On your will webinar, is that recorded? Do you have it?
Yes. So,
How many minutes is it?
I don't know. It might be, there might be some Q&A in there, but it's probably about 45 minutes kind of a thing. That's on our YouTube channel. You can also find it on our website, fiffiklaw.com. Maybe Naomi will plug that in there too. And if you're interested in digital assets, there's a wide variety of resources available about digital asset planning on our website, including a digital inventory that you can inventory your digital accounts, and a digital asset guide that can take you through the various digital assets and social media accounts and things of that nature, and what their policies are and how to deal with them for somebody that's passed away. There are up to, right now, they're up to 30 million Facebook accounts that are associated with dead people.
Yeah, I actually attended that webinar that you did
Oh, good.
with my mother in the emergency room.
Oh my, you're dedicated.
But no, the reason I asked about the webinar is because we're trying to put together some will workshops, and we like to say have a 30 or 45 minute presentation, and in the middle of that have the attorney do a brief 10 or 15 minute presentation about the importance of estate planning. And I don't know if you had done that for any of your members.
No, but I'd be happy to do that sometime. I could probably put something together if I knew that I had a specific amount of time. That wouldn't be so bad. I've done them. Harvey Fox, I know he's here somewhere. I did a little deal for him that was specific to the Christian community, right? The Christian community. I did some messaging for just to the Christian community. I don't know if you use that, Harvey, or not.
I have at times, at different times I do, and I would recommend it's still up there on YouTube as far as I know. And I
Yes,
recommend that's a very good 10-minute into why it's important to have a will. And then you can go into the LegalShield presentation from there. Yeah.
And that's a little bit more, the messaging is a little bit more designed or tailored to the Christian community if you want to market into that. So.
Thank you.
Sure. Are there other questions that I can answer for anybody?
Mike,
Looks like Rhonda might have a question too, Mike.
Oh yeah, Rhonda, I think I did see your hand up. Fire away.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
I have a question about the crypto assets. Do you understand the multi-sig wallet, what that means?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. Multi-sig wallet means that you've got 3, maybe, or 4 people who can access or have your seed phrase to that. So my question is, if I were to give my seed phrase out to specific people, can one of them be the law firm attorney, or is it typically only people in my circle that I would give that to?
Yeah, I think I would give it to only the people in your circle. I wouldn't want to be responsible for that personally, I would say. And I guess that wallet that you're talking about is similar to something that you can do with Final Security. We have a partnership with them that they provide that type of a wallet that you can nominate, you can give access to that wallet, that vault, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's cold storage.
That has all of your digital assets in there and access codes and all those types of things. I highly recommend it. And some of them, like Final Security, you can actually cause it to effectuate certain activities with your digital accounts. So it will clean your phone, or it will clean your email and set up a post-mortem email message that goes out, or a post-mortem Facebook post about you. So it'll do some activities on your behalf, after the fact, right? So, all of those embarrassing pictures that you have of whoever it is, you can have those all cleaned, or maybe just send them to the police or something, whatever it is. But this is going to be happening more and more. You're going to find that people are going to pass away who never had paper statements of any kind. All of their assets were digital, and they pass away and nobody knows what they owned, right? Because people don't tell anybody what they own. That's just the way they are. They're very private. And unless they have these digital wallets, right, or digital vaults or whatever it is, set up, or they've done an actual paper inventory, written it all down, there's going to be a lot of value, a lot of inheritance that's going to be lost as we go forward. I think it's going to be a really big problem as we move forward. So
Yeah, there's no unclaimed property in the crypto world.
there's no unclaimed property in the crypto world. That's
Nope.
100%. You got that right. No 1-800 number that you
Nope.
can call to say,
Can't call the
did
state now.
that's right. Did Rhonda have an account on blockchain? Blockchain doesn't call you back.
Yeah.
Right? It's just gone, right? It's out there. So anybody have any other questions that I can answer for them, or not answer, because I don't know? Just you can unmute and fire away. I may not see you.
Hey, Mike, I just posted the link for the Christian
great.
presentation for the Christian
Okay.
community. I just posted that in the link. Someone asked for it.
Okay, great. Thank you for doing that.
Comment, Mike, somebody had asked about the POA forms, and of course, members can reach out to you, but it's also available in forms on our app.
Okay.
So that's something they can fill out. It's always good, of course, to have the attorney to review it, be sure it's executable for the state that you're in. The other thing that I wanted to mention, you talked about referral attorneys, and you referenced the YouTube channel has your presentation on it. But in short, you guys refer out to the attorneys unless it's a divorce case, and then LegalShield sends out to referral attorneys. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, that would only happen in a conflict type situation. So, let's say that the named Rod is the named member, right? And Rod's spouse, who is a dependent, calls in for a divorce related matter. That we're not going to handle that. We're not going to, the provider firm, that's going to get conflicted out to LegalShield, and then they have a method of connecting Rod's spouse to an attorney to do the consultation, and then ultimately the referral if there is further proceedings that happen. That's exactly right. No, I mean, am I getting that right? That's my understanding of how that works.
I have to circle back around. I don't think that's correct. I believe that
Okay.
we do the referral now.
Oh, we would do the referral now? Okay.
Mhm.
but we wouldn't be talking to the
We wouldn't
the
do it,
dependent.
no.
We would just
Mm-mm.
say, we would just connect them with a referral. Okay,
Mhm.
but one way or the other. Yeah, there are instances where LegalShield is responsible for making a referral of one kind or another. They have a process of to handle that. So, and her name is what's her name? Not Geraldine. You know what I
Desiree,
mean? Desiree. Her name is
Desiree.
Desiree. She doesn't work at LegalShield. She's in one of the provider firms, but she's just the designated person that does that stuff. Desiree's great. Desiree's great if you're in New Jersey. So, all right. Well, I think we're at our time here. So I really appreciate you all participating in our workshop. Very happy to provide support to you wherever you are. So, I wish you all the best in your sales. Please check out our Eventbrite page and share all of those events with your customers. They are welcome to attend them. The vast majority of them are going to be applicable. It doesn't matter where you are, what state you're in, what province you're in. There's going to be something that is going to be helpful to them. Cyber risks is the next webinar next week on the 28th at 2 p.m. And Mike McGrody is going to he's an insurance agent. He's going to talk about cyber risks and cyber insurance products that are available, especially for businesses. Digital assets coming up on May 4th. And we have our general will webinar on May 12th. So I invite you to watch those and share those with your customers. And we will see you next month. So thank you. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Bye-bye.